Salut, c'est Quentibus, on se retrouve sur le live de Planet Coaster et sur le parc Fantagarow. C'est bientôt la partie 100 en fait. C'est bientôt le 100e live sur Planet Coaster. Ce soir ça va être assez compliqué parce que c'est le premier jour de l'Overwatch League et j'aimerais bien regarder ça. Donc il se peut qu'il y ait un bruit de fond. Donc, ne vous inquiétez pas si vous entendez de la musique par exemple ou si vous entendez des voix. Je vais essayer de suivre ça en même temps. Voilà, on va faire les deux en même temps, c'est pas bien grave. Donc hier on avait fait ça. Aujourd'hui on va essayer de faire l'intérieur. En tout cas ça me plairait bien de faire l'intérieur. Comment je pourrais faire l'intérieur? Attends, déjà je vais mettre en pause. Je vais faire option. Hop, je vais mettre ça comme ça. Paramètres, juste enlever la musique. Non. Putain, il n'y a pas musique. Des voix, effets sonores. Principal bande son. Bande son. Voilà. S'ils s'appellent pas ça musique, ils appellent ça bande son. Bon bref. Alors. De toute façon, j'ai pas mis fort. Non, vous entendez un tout petit peu le son derrière. Qu'est-ce que je pourrais mettre comme... Parce que là, du coup, il n'y a pas de fenêtre pour les toilettes. Ce qui est assez normal, finalement. Elles sont sympas, ces portes-là. Je pourrais carrément, genre, faire en sorte qu'on ait l'impression que la porte s'est ouverte. Attends, je vais faire ça. Hein? Ah non. Aligner sur la surface, voilà. Hop. Ah non, je vais plutôt faire comme ça, attendez. Ouais, je sais pas si ça fait bien. Ah, ça va commencer. Merde, j'ai même pas vu. Ah, première saison sur Overwatch 2, du coup. Ça, c'est cool. Ah, avec les nouveaux gameplays, les nouveaux héros, les nouvelles maps, ça va être goldé. Ouais, je mets un peu plus fort pour moi et un peu moins fort pour vous. C'est trop con qu'il n'y ait pas le cast FR. Ça m'énerve. Ça me dégoûte. Hein. Apparemment la semaine prochaine. Bah oui. Eh bah oui. Sauf la France. C'est marrant qu'ils en parlent. Quand même. Du coup, je vais pas trop parler, peut-être. Toujours, par contre, les musiques, elles sont énormes. Je peux peut-être le mettre en coin, à la limite. C'est une idée. Comme ça, je commente en même temps. Est-ce que je peux faire ça? Capture de fenêtre. Je mets Overwatch League. Ah bah, ça marche. Alors on va mettre en... Hop. Ça va peut-être pas vous intéresser, mais moi, c'est quand même mon live. Je fais un peu ce que je veux, non? Alors on y est en haut. On va mettre... Voilà. En bas, 150. Voilà. Ah, c'est bien là. J'aime bien. Je vais m'improviser caster. Vu qu'il n'y a pas le cast FR. En vrai, c'est pas légal ce que je suis en train de faire. Blizzard peut arriver en mode. Eh donc. T'as pas le droit de faire ça, de diffuser, parce que même les casteurs français, du coup, là, ils doivent caster, mais sans mettre l'écran. Mais bon, à mon échelle, c'est bon. Puis moi, j'ai rien à protéger. Les casteurs FR, ils jouent leur place quand même auprès de Blizzard. Kick-off Clash. Une saison donnée, Summer Showdown, Cutdown. C'est quoi ça, Kick-off Clash? C'est nouveau ça? Et Mid-Season Madness. Je connais pas ça. Alors, quel genre de mur? Parce que du coup... Attends, je voudrais quand même sélectionner ça. Bah sinon, on peut reprendre ça. C'est beau ça. Tac. Pourquoi c'est pas aligné? Ah, c'est parce que c'est pas dans le bon sens.
So we have 4 new maps: Circuit Royale for Escort, Midtown for Hybrid, and 2 new push mode maps: New Queen Street and Colosseo. I'm gonna have to go with Escort, Circuit Royale, or Royal. I honestly don't know if...
Alors, map de contrôle, Legion Tower, il y a pas Népal, putain, il y a pas ma map préférée. Ah, j'ai même pas eu le temps de voir le reste. Bon, ça va, t'es trop vite. Circuit Royal. J'ai même pas pu le tester. J'en ai testé que... Bah, j'ai testé les deux maps push. Mais la nouvelle map Escort et... Et c'est quoi l'autre? C'est une hybride, je crois. J'ai pas pu tester non plus. Je suis assez deg. Ouais, ils expliquent les nouveaux modes. Ça va être ouf de voir de la compète. J'ai pu en voir un petit peu, mais pas de la compète. Enfin, avec des joueurs pros, quoi. C'est trop énorme. De toute façon, Overwatch 2 en compétition, globalement, c'est énorme. Ça sera énorme.
There's a lot of places where you can flank and you can do a lot of creative stuff, and I feel like this is the game mode where we're gonna see a lot of interesting strategies from a lot of teams. Yeah, I'm curious to see what the professionals do, because in my beta play, and I assume your beta play, New Queen Street, I don't think I've gone to the point once off the bat. I always get lost going there. Presumptuous, but true. Yeah, but there's so many mazes, but there's also so many points that you can hold, so many different regions that you can fight for, and then you have to play with the objective, the robot that is.
Là, c'est con, là, pour le chemin.
You know how I play push mode? Please, I'm gonna be honest, and maybe I suggest everyone tries this because it's really fun. You just stand in front of the robot, in front. Push you. No, you just lost me already. And then you just so that you could, while you're just enjoying the scenery. Oh, so
He's just like giving.
Yeah, you're just standing there for me.
That's one way of doing it.
Danny.
It won't lead to a W, but the view is very nice on that one. And now I do think that one of the most exciting additions, of course, with this game right now is
Des petits bancs. Ah non, putain. Ah, je peux en mettre un là, random. Attendez, là, il y en avait un qui était... Ouais. Putain. Tant pis, on n'attend pas à l'intérieur, c'est tout.
And then she also has like high mechanical skill, and like hitting that rail is such an important thing on Sojourn. It's something that I've never been able to do. But that's why I want to see it in the pro players. I want to see them get the opportunity to sort of hit that ultimate and see how many people that they can actually get down. But unfortunately, I don't.
Voilà, donc ça explique les spells de Sojourn.
It feels like she's being outclassed by Soldier 76 and such. But I hope we get to see some teams pocket pick and pull it out.
Absolutely. It's been a blast to watch players get a hand on her and watch their beta footage. And as we look forward to a new game and a new year of the Overwatch League, we're incredibly saddened to be doing so with a hero we lost way too soon. Of course, I'm talking about Youngbo, Alarm, Kim. Alarm passed away very unexpectedly last November, and it goes without saying that he will be dearly missed by all of us. So to honor him, the Overwatch League is naming the Rookie of the Year Award.
Ah, ça parle de... Ah, ça va parler de Alarm, bah oui.
Alarm Rookie of the Year Award. So please join us now as we look back, we remember, and we honor Youngbo, Alarm, Kim.
저는 개인적으로 좀 뭐지? 최대한 팀을 케어하면서 그 선수가 좀 빛나게 좀 해주는.
Alarm, c'était une dinguerie, hein. C'était une dinguerie hein, chez les Philly-Fusion. Ouais, c'est un bel hommage hein, quand même. Avec Poco. Poco. Ah bah c'est Poco. Poco qui va jouer dans cette saison je crois. Il a été pris chez je sais plus qui. Ah, chez qui il a été pris, Poco? Poco, l'un des rares joueurs français maintenant dans Overwatch League. Mais c'est cool qu'il revienne par contre, parce qu'il était pas là l'année dernière. Même si bah il voulait, mais c'est compliqué. Mais du coup, trop content pour lui par contre pour Poco. Hein. Son comeback. Comment qu'il s'est pensé à lui? Je sais pas. De Alarm. Alarm qui avait été, je crois, sélectionné pour être le MVP l'année dernière. Du coup, c'était qui C'était Fleta, je crois, l'année dernière. Le MVP. Oh non, c'était une dinguerie. Hein. Son zen est incroyable. Hein. Il est assez flex en plus. Hein. Enfin, il était du coup. Ah, Anamura. Il n'y aura plus de tout CP en Overwatch League comme sur en partie rapide comme en enquête sur Overwatch 2 maintenant. On pourra quand même toujours y jouer, je pense que les maps seront toujours présentes, mais elles n'ont pas été retravaillées, il me semble. Je vais mettre des petites lampes. C'est marrant parce que je parle de deux jeux en même temps. Ah ouais, ça fait un petit pincement au cœur. C'était la séquence émotion, putain, 20 ans quoi. Ah c'est chaud par contre ça. Tiens, je vais mettre ces petites lampes là, ça fait un peu toilette. Ils vont remettre le cast, ils vont tous être en larmes. Putain, c'est de plus en plus haut mes conneries là. De nuit, ça rend comment? Si, ça va, c'est assez éclairé. J'en remets peut-être un là. Voilà. Le sol est très bien, ça me convient parfaitement. Et du coup, le plafond, on va remettre le plafond en bois. On va remettre le plafond en bois. Hop. Voilà, ce plafond-là. À cette hauteur-là, c'est très bien. Hop, voilà pour les toilettes. Oh, c'était rapide les toilettes. Hein. C'est rien de compliqué. Je vais mettre un petit décor vite fait. Qu'est-ce qu'on a comme décor? Non, dans le d'hiver, on peut mettre un petit... Oh, un petit bouclier, j'ai dit. Mais c'est quoi ça? Oh, c'est grand. Oh, c'est pas mal ça. J'ai pas encore utilisé. Mais je sais pas trop où l'utiliser en fait. Voilà, c'est pas mal. Ouais, c'est pas mal. Bon, alors ça c'est bon. Maintenant le bureau passe annuel. Je pense que je... Ah oui non, j'avais gardé ça. Vas-y, je vais le reprendre, c'est pas mal. Ah, c'est juste là le problème là. Mais c'est pas grave, hein. J'ai une idée.
Welcome back to the first Watchmen pre-show of 2022. Now, we've covered a lot of changes to the game as well as our format, but now it is time to get into the matches we got
Ah non, attends.
today. So let's take a look at today's schedule. As you can see, we're going to have 3 exciting matches which will be played out on that first day back here in the Overwatch League. We're going to see the New York Excelsior facing up against the LA Gladiators first thing today.
Et Paris Eternal, que j'ai plus trop d'espoir en fait. Je vais les soutenir, mais c'est il y a Florida Mayhem avec mon joueur préféré, Xy. Comeback aussi Xy. Après Poco, je sais plus. Attends. Donc là, on va regarder sur le site de l'Overwatch League. Mais Poco, il joue cette année? Overwatch League. Parce que si Poco, il me semble, alors de mémoire comme ça, je crois qu'il est chez les Florida Mayhem aussi. Je dis pas de bêtises. Oh là là, le site, je suis perdu.
Start of the season, they were doing pretty well. They had a 4-1 record, and going into the main melee as well, they had a decent showing, but things fell apart really quick, and the rest of the matches, they only won one. So as you can see right now, their overall season score was.
J'ai pas regardé si. Oh putain, oui, j'ai pas regardé. Attendez, je fais juste un truc vite fait.
Yeah, I know we all want to be nice, but let's just be, you know, let's be real. They did underperform.
It just wasn't very pretty for the most part, right? Like, they have a good roster. We knew they had talented players. They just really struggled to string it together when they weren't able to play their style. In the main melee, they did have that good performance. As you said, Danny, they made it to that playoff finals, and they had a good performance, but overall, as a whole, the season kind of fell apart. As soon as you're throwing checkmate in on Reinhardt, that just ain't it.
I actually forgot that happened. Well, okay, here's the thing. It's been a wild season for nearly every team in the league, I would say, and Florida was no exception. They completely retooled their roster. So
Mais
what are we
non.
looking at now, Costa? How do we feel about that 2020 squad?
Yeah, we're going into a completely new era of the Florida Mayhem. They've
Easy.
pretty much pulled off that roster from last year.
Après, il y en a plein que je connais pas. Bah, les autres, Anamo, je connais. Qui arrivent. Mais les autres, c'est que des novices. C'est que des... Enfin, des novices. Non, pas du tout. C'est des nouveaux que je connais pas. Bah, rien que pour Exy, je vais soutenir les Florida. Qui ont toujours un peu performé hein, chaque année. Alors, c'est Ligue joueur. Ensuite, faut trouver Poco. Ah bah, Poco, c'est le premier. Ah oui, il est chez les London Spitfire, c'est vrai, il a été pris chez les London. Bon bah, il joue pas ce soir. Et du coup, il joue quand, lui? C'est vrai qu'il a été pris chez les London. Ah bah, il joue demain. Bah non, ce soir. Attends, il joue demain. À 21h. Contre les SF Shock. Et ce soir, pareil, il joue contre les SF Shock. On va prendre cher. Après, je sais plus c'est quoi le... Je crois que ils ont fait un tout nouveau roster, hein, les SF Shock. Bon, ça, c'était l'année dernière, ça. Non, c'était même pas. C'est avec les... Ah, FD God. C'est avec les... Quand ils jouaient chez Paris Eternal. Là, il faudrait que je mette face à ça. C'est quoi ces bâtiments-là? Adobe. Adobe. J'arrive à... Merde. Oh, nickel. Meilleur hit scan de tous les temps pour moi. Sans conteste. Meilleur hit scan de tous les temps. Putain, je vais faire comment là par contre? Ah! Comment je vais faire? Putain, merde.
In the final, so they had a fantastic run. Honestly, they kept the core veteran players this year. So we still going to see Gator, Kai, and Hawk, which all three of them, of course, helped them to get to the finals last year. And while I did have the wins a little bit, seeing impactful players such as Pelican and Iris lead, I do think that I have some great new additions worth keeping an eye on.
Ah non, sinon j'ai ça. Ça peut peut-être faire l'affaire ce truc-là. Ouais.
Game changing as it does, and like the roster having changed so much, I do wonder what their new identity is going to look like, and if they can get away with the same kind of feel. Now, Costa, what do you think?
Well, like the interesting thing about Atlanta Reign is, as you said, they made it to the grand final, but last year they were not the most well-rounded team in the league. They played a lot of that rush brawl style front line, and there was a lot of concerns that they ever need to play anything else, right? Grand finals weren't close. Congratulations, they made it, but they weren't close because they didn't have that flexibility. Are they going to have that same issue this year? They have lost a couple of their players, as you said. You know, Iris and Pelican being stepped away from that roster. Is that going to enable them to do more, or are they going to go back into their old ways?
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see. But I think some people might not be super familiar with the new faces on Atlanta Reign. So what can you tell us about some of those new additions?
De toute façon, là, je vais pas mettre très haut. Pas pouvoir, de toute manière. Alors, Nero, Kai, ouais, Venom, Speedily, je connais pas. Gator, ah, très content de le voir toujours, c'est les Atlanta Reign. Hawk, OG, Ultraviolet. Alors, les deux derniers, ah oui, mais si c'est des rookies. Mais non, Venom, il a pas joué. Ah, peut-être première. Putain, là, j'en vois genre que. Nero et Gator, ils sont là depuis toujours. Mais c'est bien, ils ont une équipe. Il y a qu'un seul coréen. Ouais, c'est varié, hein. T'as un anglais. Bah, c'est que des américains, c'est très bien. Ça change un peu, c'est pas mal. On va reprendre le bois. Ah non, j'ai pas fait les décos à l'intérieur, on va pas laisser ça comme ça.
I mean, Nero has been a great player ever since when he first started with the league with bombs with charge, and then even last year with San Francisco Shock, I would say he was the most standout player last year on the Shock as well. I know he has a really deep hero pool. He could literally play everything to a very high level. So I think it'll be really interesting to see Nero, who is the only veteran player that Atlanta Reign picked up this year, and how he's gonna meld in with the whole new Atlanta Reign team.
And that's it, like his roster, his hero pool is actually just very deep. He doesn't play a lot of hit scan, but he can play it if he is required to do it. This May right here that you're looking at, that is in my opinion the thing that he stands out on. If Atlanta Reign does go towards that rush brawl style that could be prominent in these coming weeks, then I think Nero is going to be instrumental on that May and leading to that success for them. Gator's going to run at them on the Reinhardt, they're going to run at them with their new backline, and Nero's May is going to come in clutch as it always has. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him do that, but also branch out into other things if required.
I mean, that Torp guy though.
His Torb is nasty.
It's actually ridiculous.
His Torb is probably the nastiest in the league. I do respect it.
I just have to say, you know, like we were talking about those teams, about those players, we're looking at those new changes in roster cards, and we all like trying to predict, trying to figure out just how good they are, and it's hard because we don't know, and we get paid for this. I'm sorry. I mean, we're absolutely certain, and that's why we're
Le problème, c'est que ça fait pas très beau là.
just a little bit, but you
C'est même très moche.
do yours, you can pick the games along with us.
Ça, je pense, finalement, je vais l'enlever.
.overwatchleague.com to pick all the games, and of course you can also have a chance to win
Ah.
prizes as well.
Ah, ils font encore ça. Putain, je le faisais l'année dernière, mais j'ai vite arrêté quand je voyais que je perdais tout mes paris.
LA Gladiators and New York Excelsior facing up against each other, and that is going to happen in just a little bit, so don't go anywhere.
Ah oui, je peux pas toucher à ça. C'est pas grave. Pas mal, une petite mise en place. Attendez, peut-être pas. Du coup, je sais pas, les tokens là, ça marche là ou ça marche que pendant les affrontements? Ah, il est bien là, le banc là. Nickel. Bah là, il est pas mal aussi, mais c'est juste con. Là, c'est parfait. De toute façon, je vais refaire comme j'avais fait de l'autre côté. Hop. J'ai dit hop. Ah ouais, même avec les plantes. Je regarde juste si ça n'a pas dépassé de l'autre côté. Non, ça va. Voilà. Pas mal, pas mal. Genre, parce que des deux côtés, t'as les fleurs. Et du coup, le banc, je peux vraiment pas le mettre là. Ah, si, mais si, mais non. Ah, attendez. Hey, ça cache un peu la misère, c'est pas mal. On va mettre des petits pots de fleurs. Ça va être là. Parce que sinon je peux mettre... Oh là, c'est moche. J'ai pas genre juste des... Ouais, y a que ça, j'ai l'impression. Y'a pas un cadre ou je sais pas quoi. Wow. Ah, ça pourrait être pas mal ça dans le... Là-dedans. Ouais, mais c'est trop grand en fait. Voilà, moi je le mets au plafond comme ça. Oh, ça lag. Est-ce qu'il y a un grand mur?
Welcome back to the Watch One Free Show, now live in color in the beta. I know, right? It's exciting. Our first match of the day will
C'est
feature
pas
the
con
LA
ça, ce
Gladiators
comme
going
idée.
up against the New York Excelsior. And
si je le mets là.
you know, the New York Excelsior team is back here in our region, so that's going to be very interesting to see. New York struggled a little bit last year in a very top-heavy Eastern region and missed out on the playoffs. Now, Danny, expectations were always high for that particular roster or
Ça, je
for
peux
that
faire genre des trucs abstraits. Par contre, vraiment
team,
la cam
at
là.
least.
Yeah.
So,
Genre vraiment la
try
cam
to,
là.
you know, bring up new talent. They managed to develop
Oh,
new talent.
quand
I
même.
think they did, and one of those players who I'm going to talk about a little later, you know, I'll talk about that player later. But like, I want to talk about New York Excelsior first. They did have high expectations because I think, you know, ever since the inaugural season of Overwatch League, NYXL has been, or New York Excelsior, my bad, were one of the top teams that we had, and they have been consistently good. And because Jonak was also in the team even till last year, I think that's why they had high expectations. But talking about the players or rookie players that they were developing, there was one that really stood out.
Yeah, Flora was very impressive last year, but in general it kind of felt like a failed experiment. They tried to bring up players like Friday.
Ouais, non, c'est pas
It's
ouf.
the truth. They didn't
On
do
oublie.
that well in
Même
the
ça.
APAC region. Players like Friday didn't really hit that potential that we were really hoping for.
Et du coup, il me
So
faut toujours une
they had
déco
some
pour
good
là.
pieces, but I'm excited for this upcoming roster.
Yeah, I mean, 2021 season, you know, it didn't go exactly as
Ah.
planned for the Excelsior, but as you said, they
Ouais, je sais pas.
have been adding a lot of people. It feels like a bit of a Frankenstein team now. They added a lot of talent from other rosters. Did they build a championship squad here?
I wouldn't really call it a Frankenstein. I would kind of say it's like the Florida Mayhem, but they put on an NYXL mask and they're like, we've been here all along. They have Kuka coming in as the head coach, and he's brought with him Yaki. They brought Gangnam Jin, obviously two phenomenal players from that roster. But as we said just earlier, last year, Florida Mayhem didn't have a great season, so they're going to try and rebuild with some of these other players. We got Kellen, a rookie main tank coming into this league. Is he
Kellan,
going to
je
be able
connais
to have
pas.
that expectation and hype?
Vulcan, je
We've
connais
seen
pas.
that from
Gunman
previous
Jane
players, you know,
et
like
Mayabomb.
Mag.
Quoi?
You know, we've seen Fearless come in from contenders and have that dominance as well. Can Kellen do that? And then obviously Myambong coming in from the Boston
Ça
Uprising.
fait partie du
But if
même
you're
groupe
thinking,
que Facebook.
Wow, that's not many players. That's only 6 player cards. That is the problem with a lot of people have with this roster, especially seeing as one of their players, Vulcan, is not really expected to play that much.
Par contre, ils ont une équipe assez fermée, quoi. C'est pas hyper flex. Pourtant, ils ont les moyens, hein, New York Excelsior. Bon, ils ont jamais rien gagné, mais bon. Déjà, je me souviens, la première saison, c'était les favoris. MDR.
Yeah.
Bon, un plafond.
Danny, the one who shall not be named. You can
I can name it that.
Ah oui, Dan.
I guess so.
Non, lui, il
There
était
were
chez
really big
Toronto.
breakout players from last season, so I give
Toronto
you the
Defiant.
green light to gush about Flora.
Ouais.
I mean, Custa said it briefly. Yes, it's, yeah, Flora. I think even when New York was having tough times last season throughout this, you know, in their matches, he has been consistently good. I think that's why I say he was a standout player. I think everyone knows that he's a great, great hit scan player. Flora flourishes. Good one, production. Can I get back to my point now? Yeah, I mean, we're seeing his Tracer plays as well. Like anything from Ash to Cassidy to Tracer, anything that he has to play.
Ah, plus falloir dire McCree.
Absolutely. My one
C'est
concern that I have for them
Cassidy.
is like Flora and Yaki. I would say both of their best heroes are Tracer from what we saw from the
Alors,
team
est-ce que
last
ça
season.
passe?
So
Est-ce que déjà
are
ça
they
ne...
going to step on each other's
Oups.
toes with their hero pools? You know, we'll have to find out today.
Non.
Absolutely, and we will. Now, New York is
Je vais mettre de
unfortunately
jour.
gonna
Est-ce
face
que
off
ça ne
a
dépasse
quite
pas dehors
tough
déjà?
challenge right out of the gates as they will face off against the LA Gladiators. The team in purple.
Et vraiment, des fois, la
Now,
caméra, elle me
they've always
saoule.
been close, but never quite the championship roster.
Non, mais c'est
Danny,
bon.
would you call the last season a success for the Gladiators?
Honestly, if I was a Gladiators fan, I think
Ah non,
I'd
je vais
be
mettre une
happy.
porte ici.
Because I mean, yeah, they didn't win the grand finals, but they got super close. Not only
Yeah.
mais
that,
c'est
they
bien
did
ça.
win Countdown Cup by beating Chengdu Hunters.
Ah, ah,
And also, 3 of their players were picked as role stars. Shu, Space, and Kevster. And they're still with the
Ah,
still with
Kefster.
the gladiators this year as well.
Aussi,
So,
les
yeah, I think
gladiateurs, j'aime beaucoup.
overall,
J'ai toujours aimé les
successful year
gladiateurs.
for the gladiators.
Yeah, like I think they did.
Bon, ils ont pas gagné
They
grand-chose,
were
mais
expectations, right? This is
ils
a
ont toujours été en haut
roster that
du...
wants to go on to win championships, and I
des
think this year
classements.
they might have a much better chance at that.
Yeah,
Et
so,
qui hier,
it's
l'année dernière, la
because
recrue
they did
Kefster
have,
qui avait
four
brillé.
players from last season.
En Space,
They
hein,
didn't
toujours.
do enough retooling to reach that championship title.
Et il y avait Moss aussi. Est-ce qu'il est encore là? Non, je crois que... Hans. Ah bah oui, Hans. Pas Tiffan, je connais pas. Kefster. Space. Putain, 5ème saison, c'est le plus... Rainer, je connais pas, c'est un nouveau. Chou. Ah, Funny Astro, j'aime beaucoup, il était chez les Philly Fusion. Et Scoweed, je ne connais pas, mais apparemment c'est sa deuxième saison.
He is so talented, he's so flexible, and he has that kind of like take over the server performances. So you have that in combination with Kevster, they're going to be able to do incredible things. And then you know,
Bon, bah c'est bon pour les intérieurs. Hein.
Tankline in Space and Reiner. Reiner's going to assist him on those main tank heroes. So I'm curious to see.
On va pouvoir
what
faire
they're going to be able to do,
les
because in
studios.
my eyes, they're trying to win a championship. They're not trying to come, you know, third or fourth like they did last year. This is a championship caliber roster, and I think they have the tools.
Putain, c'était quoi? C'est du stuc, je
It's been
crois.
a wild off-season,
Et je
you
mettais
know,
ça en
with
blanc.
superstar players swapping jerseys all throughout the league. And the Gladiators
stuc
have
en blanc.
added some amazing firepower to their
Mais c'est chiant que ça
roster,
dépasse.
and, one of those people
Je vais trouver une
is
solution.
someone who I dare say could be
On
one
va
of the
mettre comme
best
ça.
Widowmaker in the world. I'm talking about Hans.
Par contre, c'est moi où
That's
ils
why,
essaient de
watch
meubler
it.
là.
If you aren't a little
Ça, on
nervous
se prend
when
une
going
colle,
up
c'est quand
against
ça
this
commence,
Widow,
hein?
then, well, you're going to learn the hard
Il est
way.
21h,
Alright,
ça a toujours pas commencé. Ah, que
Sorry,
tous
I
les
had
matchs
to,
sont en
I
même
had
temps.
to, love you, man. But no, honestly, like he just doesn't miss. And with the lack of shields in the current game, I think you've got to be
yes.
really smart about how you want to position yourself on the map when you want to stay out of sight from Gladiators players such as Hans. But he also has Shu, an absolute aim god on the team, who's going to nade you up as a support. So, yeah, rough spot to go up against them. I don't envy you. I'm scared for you, in fact. So. I am very bullish on that Gladiator squad this season.
Absolutely. I think it's, as I said, I'm the fanboy. I got my Gladiators flag like spinning around. So am I allowed to be biased?
Well,
yeah, sure. Why not?
Sure,
Yeah, I'm biased.
Actually, yes. And we're going to show you just how biased we are because it is time to
Oh non,
reveal
mais c'est
our
quoi
picks
ça?
for the matches today. So let's take a look at who went where with their picks. Because there's going to be like rewards and punishments on the line for us on the desk.
Let's go.
I am very interested to see. Okay, unexpected.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, makes sense. Zoe.
Wait. No,
Quick
sorry,
5 seconds
no,
before
sorry,
we-
wait.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm holding like my pregnant belly. Maybe
This will
do it.
defend me.
The baby? Are you gonna blame
No,
the baby?
I will. If I'm wrong, I'm blaming my baby. But no, I have been so hyped on that Atlanta squad every single season, and I've been right because they were amazing. I want to be swarmed by them. I want them to win me over. I want them to prove to me that I can continue that relationship. You know. So yeah, my heart is with you, Atlanta. I'm just playing. Yeah, I'm just playing hard to get. And scrimbugs were a thing as well. But yeah, that's it for the Watchpoint pre-show. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today. We will be back again in our game break. But for now, we're going to head on for all the action. Game number 1 in Season 5 of the Overwatch League starts right now.
Ça y est? Ça commence à être long. Hein.
The dragons teach us that if we want to climb high, we must do it against the wind.
J'aimais bien celui de l'année dernière. Le son, il était énorme. Le générique de Overwatch. Enfin, saison 4.
222 days since our screens were last graced by the Overwatch League, and it's an honor to don the headset again to bring you our 5th season. I'm Mitch Leslie here with Matt Morello, and what on earth are you wearing, son?
Yeah, I got a new hoodie. It's got, I think these are mountains. I didn't really look. I'm pretty sure these are mountains around.
Did they steal my shirt? Wait,
yeah,
is that the one with the big old mountain on there?
Oh, no, it's
shirt.
just mountains.
Right.
Just mountains around my collar and my hands. But otherwise, it's just plain.
Matthew, it's prophetic because there's quite a climb for all of our teams returning to the Overwatch League this year, my friend. So good to be back, of course.
Allez.
Say you've grown, but that would be a falsehood. The NY
Yeah, I'm just closer to my camera. I haven't grown at all.
It's all about
So
framing.
artificially.
Oh là là, bah j'en ai marre des petits lags à la con.
The New York Excelsior today will be taking on the Los Angeles Gladiators. This is a match in the Overwatch League that we have not seen for a long time. It has been
Putain, je me souviens du premier match de la saison 4, il était incroyable. Premier match avec notre FD God National chez les SF Shock. Il est... Oh la team de ouf. Oh là là, voilà, ça m'a envoyé du pâté. Ils ont fait des nouvelles photos aussi. Il avait fait 3 boops sur Ilios. C'est incroyable. Et c'est toujours pas en public, ça c'est chiant. Ça apportait vraiment quelque chose quand c'était en public.
Excited to see them together. Also interested on how it kind of operates in terms of who plays, some of those more traditional main supports.
Absolutely, and don't forget Kellen, one of the driving forces in what took O2 Blast to such great success over in Contenders Korea. I mean, when they won their championship, Kellen was playing a lot of Wrecking Ball, a lot of Winston, dive tanks in a very hostile meta for them. Right? There was a lot of Zenyatta, there was a lot of Brigitte, a lot of punishing elements to sort of make it hard. So this is a tank player, a main tank player that was able to thrive under those circumstances. Now, yes, it's just one tank here in 5v5, but Kellen is absolutely equipped to do some serious work. Worth pointing out, though, that Wrecking Ball he was known for is unavailable right now in this build game.
Yeah, now we can take a look at the Gladiators roster coming into today, and I think kind of like how the desk talked about, this is a team that is loaded up on star talent, like looking to really
il y a même pas Space.
Take the league by storm, really kind of win it all this year. Adding Reiner,
il y a KFC et Funny Astro que j'aime bien.
Funny Astro, right? Like this was a roster last year that was already strong.
Mais il y a même pas Space. Bon, bah tant pis.
And they've added a ton of just star power and potential to it. Really excited to see how they fare in this kind of new 5v5 world.
Absolutely. Let's not forget, brother, that Patapam was a hero for his home country in World
Ah, pour avoir des nouveaux joueurs, il y en a que je connais pas, genre Patifan et Reiner, je connais pas. Et du coup, il y a qu'un seul temps. Ça, c'est ouf. Ah, c'est pour ça qu'il n'y a pas Space, notamment.
DPS players that we saw last year. Whichever way you slice it, this DPS matchup is going to be insane. It's a test of unproven tanks at the Overwatch League level here, as Reiner will be going up against Keller.
And I think when you kind of look at some of the DPS that you see being played right now, whether you've been watching some of your favorite streamers or players play, like Soldier 76, pretty strong right now.
Ils auraient pu commencer par une nouvelle map.
Crazy aim and tracking, should be able to pull off some wild stuff today. Our first series, we actually have 3 of our new maps in the pool in this series. Lee Zhang Tower to kick things off.
Après il y a Midtown, Circuit Royal, New Quest. Ah bah après il y a 3 nouvelles maps.
Then we go to Midtown, Circuit Royal, and then New Queen Street, which I kind of hope we get to New Queen Street. That's been one of the maps, obviously push a new game mode, but that's been one of the maps that kind of like it's been getting the most love by the pro community, and I think kind of the public as well.
Absolutely. This is a first to 3 series, so bear that in mind. Hopefully we can get there. And of course, as the sun rises over a new season of the Overwatch League, it rises over Lijiang Tower as well. Overwatch 2 featuring the new look for this map, but it's mostly unchanged, ladies and gentlemen. The biggest factor here, of course, will be the
c'est joli.
And I'm very curious to see what our comps are selected to be, but already.
Du coup, maintenant, c'est quoi? C'est plus la nuit, il pleut plus, mais c'est au crépuscule en fait. Non, c'est le matin. Bon, bah, je suis full Los Angeles Gladiators, je sais qu'ils vont gagner. Ils ont jamais trop changé leur line-up. Leur roster n'a jamais trop changé. Ils sont toujours sur les mêmes bases. Avec New York Excelsior, ils ont toujours un petit peu changé. Ils ont jamais trouvé leur roster principal. Oh, c'est beau. Ah, c'est nerveux, hein. Oh là là. Et pourtant, on pourrait pas croire, parce que maintenant c'est du 5v5. Là où avant c'était du 6v6, on pourrait croire que maintenant c'est moins nerveux. Et pourtant, bah si. Parce qu'il y a eu un rework de tous les. Enfin, la quasi-totalité des héros. Surtout DPS. Et du coup, bah, ils ont fait en sorte que ce soit beaucoup plus nerveux. Et ça se voit, hein. Ça va dans tous les sens. Ah ouais, il y a le nouveau canon de Winston. Oh là là. J'ai même pas testé Winston, moi, sur Overwatch. Je sais même pas ce que ça donne. Putain, la vache, il a... En fait, bah ouais, c'est ce que je disais. Le défaut de... Enfin, ce qui change surtout, c'est la nervosité. Et du coup, ils ont dû changer Winston parce qu'avant, il était pas assez nerveux. Il faisait pas assez de dégâts. C'était vraiment un off-tank pour moi qui était assez useless. Et ils ont rajouté des spells, notamment son espèce de canon sniper. Alors, j'ai pas eu l'occasion de le tester, mais apparemment, bah, ça a l'air de faire des dégâts parce que ils ont gagné le teamfight. Donc, bon, c'est ce que je disais, hein, les Los Angeles Gladiators, sans surprise, mènent la danse. Premier teamfight gagné par eux. Haut la main. Ouais, moi je dis un bon... Allez, je leur donne 4-1. Je leur donne quand même peut-être une victoire pour les nuls. Bref, allez, revenons sur Quentibus. C'était la pause. Non, ça. Putain, j'arrive pas à choper le... Ah, c'est parce qu'il doit pas faire partie du même du bâtiment. Ah, il clean. Eh, ça se trouve, je vais me tromper complètement. Hein. Pourtant, moi, je leur donne une bonne cote et ça se trouve, je vais complètement me tromper.
Expect to see less of those ultimate abilities come up now in this build of the Overwatch 2 PvP beta. There it is, Death Blossom available. Kevster already uses his in the background, and it's going to be Yaki to fall that way. And there it is, Shu is up to his old tricks once more. Patapan's blade fires Myunbong and he pressures Kellen down. Now the Gladiators can return.
Allez, voilà.
Once more. It's some real flip-flop action here, Matt, in our first round.
J'aurais dû parier, bon, c'est trop tard. Enfin, parier. Faire les prédictions Overwatch. Oh, c'est trop tard maintenant. J'ai pas vu si Kevster faisait des dingueries. Il joue quoi? Ah putain, il a cédé son Genji pour jouer. Je crois que je l'avais jamais vu sur ce pic là. Sur un Reaper.
And the Excelsior are back in control.
Yeah, New York is going to come back into this next fight with a lot of really good ultimates to be able to, you know, get to.
En fait, j'ai l'impression que maintenant, tu pourras plus faire de 100-0. Ça a l'air beaucoup plus compliqué de défendre que d'attaquer, de tenir le point. Tu auras beaucoup de contestations, je pense. Je vais reprendre cette tuile là. En tuile. Des tuiles.
Ryan is forced to back on away here again, and the Gladiators, they managed to flip it with the players left on the point, but it's barely contested.
Now, I mean, you're kind of waiting for some more players to come back here. So Shu's coming back on the Ana. You can see trying to get back into the line of sight. This could be a huge blade, though.
Oh, nice. Oh, it's very defensive.
Just like a zoning blade, yeah.
I mean, it's done its job. The Gladiators are still in control now as we head into our first overtime of this season. Kevster couldn't get away. Kellen bounces on him now and he's looking for more. Yes, Shu's going to be run down. Looks like he tried to go for a sleep dart, but Kellen played the shield very well. No, it came out later, in fact. He puts the Primal Rage in Winston to sleep, but the Excelsior have taken control in the meantime. The Gladiators, they can't get there. Just get a nano-boosted Winston on the point. It's Reiner who's just able to touch, but he's surrounded by foes. He has to
Ah bah j'ai rien à dire, en plus il y a quand même un peu plus de... Bah non, bah c'est ce que j'avais dit. Il y a de la contestation quand même. Putain, il va reprendre le point. GG. Oh, il a son die-die. Ah putain, elle est slip mon gars. Oh là là. Ça vole dans tous les sens. Ah bah bien joué. Bah je me suis peut-être planté alors. J'aurais mis mon petit billet sur les gladiateurs. Bah apparemment il joue pas si mal. C'est du... La chou. Ton live lag moins que Overwatch League. Sérieux? Comment ça que Overwatch League? Bah moi je suis sur le Overwatch League FR hein. Tu regardes sur quoi toi? Parce que tu regardes l'Overwatch League toi. Après je sais de souvenir que les gladiateurs ils ont jamais été très bons sur des maps centrales comme ça. Après avec un nouveau roster peut-être qu'on peut s'attendre à... On peut avoir des surprises mais... C'est pour ça que ça me surprend un peu qu'ils galèrent à ce point-là. Bon ils galèrent pas quand même, ils ont réussi à tenir les 99% mais... C'est assez surprenant. Overwatch League normal plus Fefe pour les commentaires. Ah ouais. Mais du coup Fefe ne met pas le... Ne met pas l'écran de l'Overwatch League. Il commande juste. T'as pas l'image ni le son. Parce que lui il a des accords avec Blizzard donc il a pas le droit de diffuser. Moi je le fais parce que je m'en fous. Sur une petite chaîne comme ça je m'en fous. Et pourtant c'est chiant parce que putain ils gagnent quasiment tout leur teamfight mais ça passe pas. Après ils ont osé ne pas faire rentrer Space dès la première game. C'était histoire, je pense que c'était histoire de dire on a un nouveau joueur en tank, on va le tester, on va voir ce que ça donne. Après je regarde pas trop mais ça se trouve ça marche plutôt bien. Voilà je vais mettre... Ah non, faut pas que je fasse ça. Merde. Ouais du coup le cast FR normalement disons dans mes guillemets ça devrait être la semaine prochaine. J'espère pour eux parce que c'est un peu chiant. Mais déjà l'année dernière ils avaient fait le même coup hein. Ils avaient été prévenus genre 3 jours avant le début de la saison. C'était n'importe quoi. C'est vraiment genre on est les vilains petits canards quoi, c'est un truc de ouf. Mais Fefe je sais même pas s'il fait partie du cast FR parce que l'année dernière c'était pas prévu je crois. Il a finalement fait partie du cast FR. Mais Fefe était pas sourd. Comme je disais tout à l'heure, maintenant je pense que ça va être très compliqué de faire des 100-0. Tellement agressif et c'est dur de tenir la défense. Oh là là, tellement smooth le nouveau sound design de Soldier. Rien que pour ça j'ai envie de le jouer alors que d'habitude je le joue jamais. Je l'ai même pas testé en plus. Ah si je crois que j'ai dû le tester mais très rapidement. C'est moins statique qu'Overwatch 2. Bah pour... Moi j'aurais plutôt dit l'inverse du coup. Je trouve que justement c'est beaucoup plus nerveux sur Overwatch 2 que sur Overwatch 1, alors que pourtant ils sont moins de joueurs. Mais il y a eu un rework énorme sur la plupart des héros. Et comme je disais, par exemple, maintenant, Cassidy est cool aussi avec son gun. Ouais. Et du coup, par exemple, le Winston, maintenant, il est beaucoup plus nerveux que sur Overwatch 1. En même temps, c'était pas compliqué de faire plus nerveux. Après, il y a Paris qui joue. Il joue contre les SF Shock, donc ça va être tendu. Mais après, je crois que les SF Shock, ils ont complètement changé leur roster, donc on peut s'attendre à autre chose que d'habitude. Mais les Paris Eternal, cette année, j'y crois plutôt bien. Hein. Ils ont gardé la moitié de leur roster de l'année dernière et les nouveaux ont l'air pas trop mal. Après, il n'y a plus de Français, c'est ça qui est chiant. Après, en Overwatch League, je crois qu'il y a 3 Français. Hein. Il y a Poco chez les London, du coup, qui est passé chez London Fire. Il y a Dridro. Ah bah si, bah Dridro chez les Paris Eternal. Et... ouais, après, c'est des coachs. Il y a quelques coachs français dans certaines équipes, mais... c'est triste, hein. Avant, la scène Overwatch League, t'avais presque une dizaine de Français. Maintenant, t'as plus rien. 6v6, ça bouge peu. Mais du gameplay en 5v5, ça bouge pas mal. Ouais, j'ai bien l'impression aussi. Parce que je pense pas que LD God il a été gardé chez les SF Shock. Bah, on va voir ça après. Ça me parle pas. Faudrait les petits trucs là. Ils sont où les petits trucs. Ah, ils sont là, les petits trucs. Les petites bordures. Le Dragon Blade. Oh. Et du coup, Poco il joue demain. Il joue demain soir. Il fait son comeback parce qu'il était pas l'année dernière. Du coup, c'est trop cool qu'il ait réussi à signer cette année. Bon, pas chez la meilleure équipe, mais bon, il fallait quand même une équipe. Mais surpris qu'il ait quitté les Philly Fusion. J'ai pas compris sa décision, par contre, parce que c'était quand même une super bonne équipe. S'il fait ça, c'est qu'il a une raison. Je pense. Moi, je suis confiant, les gladiators. Moi, je reste sur ma prédiction du 4-1. Bah, du 3-1, du coup, parce que c'est... Non, du 4-1. C'est en 5 maps. Non, du 3-1. C'est un BO5, du coup. Non. Comment on voit l'avancée de ces drops de tokens? On voit ça en direct ou ça tombe qu'après? Non, je crois qu'il faut que tu ailles sur le jeu et tu regardes. Normalement, là, par exemple, là, je dois avoir 10 tokens. Bah, du coup, on a dû en accumuler 10. Mais par contre, je crois que les tokens, ils s'accumulent que pendant les matchs. C'est-à-dire que entre les intermatchs, les trucs avec le cast, etc., ça ne marche pas, je crois, il me semble. Mais ça, je trouve, c'est une trop bonne idée d'avoir fait ça, les tokens. Ça incite les gens à regarder le watching. C'est trop smart. Donc là, il me faut des petits piliers de bois. C'est un nouveau, lui, je connais pas. Oh bah putain.
I was gonna say it was actually awesome kind of support play from Gangnam Jin, able to like boot back and kind of keep Yaki alive a little bit, but Petafan on the Genji just too strong as you're gonna have his blade, you're gonna have Tac Visor here, try and put this one away for the Gladiators. Yeah, Gladiators definitely digging deep here.
Je vais mettre plus grand.
Just to make sure they can get stuff done with these ultimates. Patapan's picking a stuff. He's about to do it to Flora. Cleans him up with the blade after already getting Myunbong, and now he's coming alive in this series. A bit of a quiet start in those first few rounds, but his Genji's starting to shine. Yeah, it's like you push so far up into the Excelsior spawn. It's like.
Faut que je fasse là, mais ça m'embête un peu parce que ça se voit pas. Non, mais je suis pressé de voir le match d'après. Peut-être que c'est même quasiment sûr, on va se faire laver. Hein. Paris va se faire laver. Mais je suis quand même curieux de voir comment ils vont se démerder contre les SF Shock. J'ai mis ça à l'arrache. Let's go! Je reste sur mon 3. Hein. De toute façon, j'avais dit. Ouais, ils se sont bien démerdés quand même. Et là, tu vois, là, du coup, là, on récolte plus de tokens. Enfin, je crois, hein, si j'ai bien compris. Oh, la map poche, c'est la 4ème map. Potentiellement, on peut même pas l'avoir. Parce que s'ils font un 3-0, bah on verra pas la map poche. La grande nouveauté, bah non. Alors, qu'est-ce que je pourrais faire? Alors, déjà, moi, je ferais bien, genre, ça. Voilà. Après, bah là, je sais pas. Je vais reprendre ça. Ça, c'est pas mal. Voilà. C'est pas ça que je voulais faire. Non, c'est toujours pas ça que je voulais faire. C'est ça que je voulais faire. Moi, j'ai envie de reprendre ces fenêtres là. Elles sont trop belles. Mais en faire des doubles fenêtres. À la limite, ce que je peux faire... Attendez, je sais ce que je vais faire. Tac. Voilà. Diviser en deux. Diviser pour mieux régner. Bah là, je vais pas pouvoir les mettre par contre les fenêtres ici. Les petites fenêtres, c'est pas mal ça. C'est quoi ça? Si je mets ça. Pour être marrant. En plus ça ne naturise pas plus que ça je trouve. Bah du coup par contre c'est un peu con parce que c'est des fenêtres, c'est pas des... qu'un détail. Parce que sinon il y a ceux-là. Ouais ceux-là ils sont pas mal aussi. Mais après c'est plus... C'est pas pareil quoi. Par contre, les musiques, ils ont même pas changé. Ah bah... Il y a des équipes qui ont de l'argent. Hein. Ça, tu le verras pas chez les paris éternels, ce genre d'annonce. C'est trop stylé. Oh là là, c'est trop stylé. Ah, ils ont une équipe de ouf. Hein. Bah, ils sont sponsors aussi. Et pourtant, ils font pas des perfs de... Enfin, si, ça allait. En vrai, ça allait. Sympa la pub de la team, ouais. Et comme je te disais, toutes les teams n'ont pas forcément ce genre de pub. Ils ont une équipe derrière les Excelsior, ils ont de l'argent. Malheureusement, salut Ibus. Tu verras pas ça partout. Putain, j'ai plus d'eau. C'est con que c'est plus en public. C'est trop chiant. Moi je pensais que cette année ça allait être bon. Ils allaient refaire des homestands. Eh bah non, t'as toujours pas de public. C'est trop dommage. C'est trop chiant. Ça manque vraiment. Ils ont failli en faire l'année dernière. En plus, je me souviens, au moment où ils ont arrêté de le faire à cause du Covid, c'était genre à quelques semaines avant le homestand à Paris. Putain, ça aurait été énorme. Avec le cast FR et tout. Il devait y avoir genre 6 équipes, je sais plus. Mais ça devait être incroyable. Ça aurait dû être incroyable, du coup. Nouvelle map. Ah. C'est la... Comment on appelle ça, la hybride. Que j'ai pas pu jouer. À chaque fois, il me mettait des maps que je connaissais déjà. J'ai juste pu faire les 2 maps push. Et celle-là, j'ai même pas pu la tester, c'est chiant. J'ai pu la... Bah, je l'ai visité quand même. En fly, hein. T'étais là, je crois, Kevin, d'ailleurs. Bonne soirée, merci toi aussi, Vincent. Ah, ils ont pas changé. Bon, bah, il y aura pas de space ce soir. Ça fait bizarre quand même, mon truc là. Hein. Again, a lot of focus towards towards Soldier 76, towards that Winston. We did get to see a little bit of the Zaya, and Kellen looked pretty frightening on that. Je sais pas trop quoi mettre en haut. Defending here though. This is a very common pick for Flora for much of last year. The Ash was really a signature go-to for him. Let's see what he can do with it defensively. Yeah, you can get some like long sight lines here on defense. Just doesn't have that consistent damage output that Soldier 76 does. And then going with these. En vrai, je pourrais utiliser ces trucs-là. Oh, ce bruit. Ah, c'est pas mal ça. Again going to be accosted by Yaki for what's the 3rd time already in this round, and a very quick little rotation there for New York to get to the low ground here. They've lost Cullen Jim though. You see Reiner, he gets one and actually tries to like almost double back towards his choke, but it looks like Shu and Ketzer, they just kind of have that under control, so he keeps on pushing forward as Gladiators with a clean first fight, able to take out pretty much everybody here from the Excelsior, and they should be able to take this first point. We'll see if NYXL, they go and try and touch it again, as Kellen actually switches over to the Diva. Yeah, okay, looks like they're not going to try and touch here. No. Yeah, look, maybe New York were caught a little bit off. Ah, c'est marrant. Le bruit de l'alarme. Ah, du coup, je l'avais pas encore vu le convoi à quoi il ressemblait. C'est rigolo. Bon, je sais pas si ça rend bien mon truc là. Spread out. Ooh, yeah, he looked like he was trying to wall climb there. Maybe kind of just gotten like taken out. As Kellen just jumps on him real fast. He ate dynamite from Flora, and then he got chased down by Kellen. So even with a bit of healing,
it wasn't actually enough to keep it alive from two separate sources of damage sort of ticking at the same time. I mean, this is where the Ash really can shine.
Ash aussi, hein, elle a un bon son maintenant. Très jouissif.
Patapan's a little bit of trouble here though. Kellen about to run him down on Yaki, gives him the goo.
Yes, this is the high ground I was talking about, where you were mentioning a car wash to choke underneath here, as far as I'm concerned. It's just difficult to pass through. You have this like high ground bridge that the defense can play on, and you look at like how collapsing you can be, right? Like Kellen can be so pestering here on the Diva off to the side. You have the damage from Flora up on this high ground. You know, you have Pattypan on the bottom.
Ouais, mais l'espèce de tige au milieu là, c'est dégueulasse.
Looks like Bob gets slept right away.
Yeah, honestly, harder to shut down Bob now in 5v5, especially with a lot of that CC taken away from support. So Sleep Dart there had to be employed to get rid of the robotic menace. Reiner causing problems of his own here. Kellen forced away. You see Myeonbong desperately trying to keep him standing, but now the pressure going towards the Ana, and Myeonbong couldn't hold up under it. The Gladiators again find another gear, ferociously advancing towards this next checkpoint.
Yes, they end up using the duplicate there. For the Excelsior, I believe that was on like the Winston, but didn't really get much of anything with it. So coming into this next fight, the Gladiators, this first corner is like one of the hardest to get around because there's really good high ground for the defense. But like we've been kind of talking about, discussing, like, you know, you don't have like that soldier, you don't have like a, you know, a Genji even. I mean, the Genji kind of like challenges that high ground, right? If you're the Gladiators, like Yaki can fly up there. He's just a little bit slower, not as like fast, and you're gonna have attack visor here with the nano coming through. Everybody's hiding.
Kellen got put to sleep, so again, you know, he wasn't able to mitigate much of that damage, and how quickly the Excelsior had to back away. The blade get pulls out by Patapan, but he's going to be burnt down by Yaki, and now the pressure mounts. Finally, New York starting to find a little bit of backbone here. Looking for Reiner, finding Astro having to skitter away as he can, as Kevster is brought low. Reiner's going to have to abscond as well.
Yeah, and with the attack visor, you saw everybody run for cover. As soon as he didn't have the Diva with the defense matrix, everybody just has to hide. It buys a little bit of like payload time, where the Gladiator is able to move it a little bit, but not that much. And we see a Widowmaker sighting, so we've seen a lot of heroes already from both teams here in our first series.
Oh, there it is. Dive comes in. Reiner looking to get aggressive, and Patapan on the Widowmaker. Yaki gets a free haircut and is forced to back away quickly. That's brilliant from Patapan, able to get rid of Kellen before he can remake. Stunning stuff here from this newest edition, and he's looking to continue the pressure. Not playing high ground necessarily, but the threat he generates is immense.
Yeah, Widowmaker was a hero I know a lot of the community, like coming into 5v5 with less shielding, was like really worried about. But hasn't been like the incredibly dominant force I think people were expecting, because you do have some of these dive tanks and heroes being played as Reiner gets put to sleep here as he tries to go in back line, as they'll invest a sound barrier to keep everybody up.
Gangnam Jim close to his as well. New York are going to have this in a moment, so it's a small window to work with, and New York don't even need it to win the fight. Both backliners are put down, and Kellen's able to dive upon Patapan. This will slow the Gladiators down once more as Yaki opts to duplicate the Ana. That should indicate just how powerful she is right now.
Yes, also just kind of with the change that have gone on to Echo, where you just have like a max HP you can get, so you can't just like copy another tank and get that full HP pool. So now we're going to get our first Tracer sighting. So talking a little bit about Tracer, and you know, it doesn't have like the ability to kind of challenge high grounds as like Genji does, but still pretty strong.
Reiner might have the primal here, no other choice. Yeah, watch out for the Armor Titan, he'll make short work if Myeonbong forced to Biotic Grenade himself, and Reiner's not able to juggle effectively. He might look to pressure again, just try and keep tabs on that Ana, make it hard for them to have an impact, but really no follow-up there was able to be made off that Winston ultimate.
Okay, so now, you know, Flora is starting to, you know, pick off some of these players as they come in, right? He's not as much of a dive target as maybe the supports are. And you can keep him at range, right? Doesn't have the damage output consistent to Soldier 76, but, you know, has the ability to finish off players in like 1-2 shots, right? Depending on how low they are. As Yaki goes in, tries to get some stickies on the Kevster and finish him off, but he gets a big pocket here.
Myeonbong riddled with bullets, and a beautiful double from the Helix rocket from Kevster. Able to get most of the damage done towards Gangnam Jim, forcing him away. 3 kills and counting for Kevster, and the Gladiators have finally broken through. New York can come back with a primal rage for Kellen.
Ah, il est là le pont levé.
Yeah, you're gonna have primal rage. Patty with the pole
Ça, c'est
spot
vraiment
here.
cool.
See if he gets anything. Doesn't
là-dedans. Je cherche le panier. Ah, il est là.
Side of this Primal, and oh yeah, Patavan goes a little bit too deep there. Flora able to finish him off.
It's kind of rough out there for Tracer right
Attention,
now, I'm not
ça
going
se
to
met
lie.
là.
That's kind of the way things have been going for them for the moment. Kellen is happy to buy a little bit of time. I think with that Patapan though, most of the pressure had already sort of been weaned off from the Gladiators.
Yeah, it's going to be the sound barrier here though for the Gladiators as they're going to try and push in. It looks like Reiner got slept but then woken up by somebody from the Excelsior. So and now he's able to put in a little bit extra work. Is Funny Astro trying to keep everybody up. You're going to get close to a Primal and a Nano here for the Gladiators.
Funny Astro trying to deny Kellen the safety of his bubble, but a lot of pressure now from the back line. Kellen's able to be healed up through all of this, and there's really only about 24 seconds left in the round. New York doing a great job staving off the aggression from the Gladiators here, but Yaki's brought down. There's still a player advantage though for New York, and oh dear, that biter grenade's nasty. Is there follow-up? Patapan finds one, but Kev's is forced away by Kellen, and Patapan might have overstayed his welcome somewhat.
And you only have 9 seconds on the clock here as the Gladiators going to have to get back in and get a touch. It looked like Kevster was close. Had to run off as Funny Astro going to get around just barely touch.
Taking far too much damage there, and here's the sound barrier for New York just to make sure they've got this secured. Duplicate for Yaki to cause even more trouble, but it's not necessary. And the Gladiators are brought to a standstill just before the end of the map.
Alright, so the Excelsior are able to keep it.
Ah putain, ils ont pas été jusqu'au bout alors qu'il leur manquait quelques petits centimètres.
No, they basically got it the entire length. And I think that you're going to probably see, obviously a different comp from the Gladiators on defense than we saw the Excelsior play. Maybe be able to hold that first point a little bit longer. So pretty good for the Gladiators. The Excelsior really, it was just that first point they gave up instantly. Like they gave up point A, and then once the payload started to move, maybe like a little bit of time they stalled in the middle. Really good hold here on this last point though.
Yeah, absolutely. And for attackers, obviously, just need to make this L-shaped turn with a lot of different flanking routes for defenders. It looked like Yaki and Flora were able to settle in just a little bit more. And the Gladiators struggled to pressure Kellen. I mean, that Tracer pick from Patapan looked like it struggled for the most part to do much until there was this big 3-player biotic grenade from Shu, which really set up a kill. But by that point, the rest of the Gladiators weren't in position. I want you guys to keep watching Shu. This guy, #1 in hero damage on Ana last year, #1 in enemy slep, #1 in offensive assist. A legitimate weapon to any roster on this Ana.
Yes, I will take a look at a replay from Flora's POV. It's a nice shot there on the Patapan. The coach gun knock him back, and then shots to finish him off. As I know Tracer can be a pest, especially with the reduction of CC across the board. Very difficult. So
still plenty of knockback though, I think, which is what makes it a little bit hard for her to succeed. Right between Lucio and Ash with the coach gun. A little tricky to make it work. Patapan on the Genji now though.
Yes, I still, the Genji soldier is kind of like what you thought would be the meta. That's kind of like what I actually expected. I think Scott was talking a little bit about it on the desk. He expected as well. So you see Flora now will actually play so didn't want to play it on defense, maybe a little bit longer. Just want to play a little more passive, backed by his supports, and now brings the soldier.
Oh, that's silky smooth, Matt. He even notes, by the way, that Flora is flanking on the right-hand side. He sort of pings it out, backs away, effortlessly sort of deals with Reiner there. Excuse me, with Kellen, should I say. Flora, though's got himself in a position here in the top of this sort of fire station, and Patapan has to go for a quick deflect to stay alive. Now Flora needs to decide, do I stay or do I go?
Yes, already, it's almost a better hold already from the Gladiators than we saw from the Excelsiors. It looks like Kellen trying to push, Kipster all the way out. Kipster on the defensive end of things, right? Trying to push him out of this position here, but now they kind of like traded power positions, right? Where like the offense, this would be kind of like the high ground you would end up taking, where I know New York is set up on the defensive side. So, man, if Patty had a blade, this would be massive, but still just enough on just, the Genji in general to make a play.
And the biotic grenade, so huge here. It's already hard enough to sort of heal right now with those numbers being toned down. Making it impossible, just, oh dear. Makes it very, very tricky to keep that tank standing. Patapan having to deflect a heck of a lot of damage here. Forced right on back. He's being given healing though as the Gladiators find a way to stabilize again. Gangnam Jin, dangerous. Ryder runs him down, and I don't think Yaki's going to be much more fortunate. Look at the respect, the discipline here from Ryder. Immediately chase after. Is able to find the kill.
Yes, I know. Going to have Primal Rage here. could potentially, push some of these players even further back as Gladiators push really far off as Young Bung, as soon as he came out, there's a nice biotic grenade, but not going to live long.
Patapon able to find that elimination, and the Gladiators are starting to bank some serious ultimates here. Shu the only one without one to leverage, and the NYXL are now heading down within 90 seconds left to capture this point A. Little bit of a precarious position, and I mean, both teams have been building up to what seems this fight, Matt. This is where a lot of those ultimates are going to have to come out. It's about to get heavy.
C'est chiant là par contre là mon truc.
Sound barrier here for New York. It's actually going to be Yaki using the duplicate here onto the Winston. You notice only gets that 300 HP. That's what I was talking about before.
Oh là là le bordel.
How the duplicate was swapped, but
Oh ouais bah non
jump
bah
up as
attends.
soon as he uses primal. But still, you're not really able to get much with that. You also used your sound barrier at that time, and you lost Kellen.
Yeah, I mean, that was very reactive from the Gladiators here. Patapon's blade looking to try and bail them out of trouble here, but he's brought down by Yaki, who eventually himself will succumb. Now we're inside 1 minute, and the Gladiators were able to hold on.
Oh mais tu te fous de moi là.
Into the primal. It looks
Jeu
like
de
the Gladiators have
mort.
so much defensively available.
Yes, this is going to be difficult for the Souls here to kind of get on through. What, you have the nano boost, but you don't have like attack visor. You're not even close to building up primal to be able to work off that. So what do you do? I mean, I guess you're going to have to just nano the Winston on the way in. We're going to have Flora actually switch over to the Reaper here. So maybe they want to try and just get like a rush in, just try and burn down one of these targets. But who? They've been trying to go after Kevser, especially
Putain, je vais devoir le mettre à la main.
He's been doing a great job maneuvering around the map.
Okay, focusing beam attempted, burning down. Yo, Yaki's not able to make it happen. Yeah, they're doing everything into him.
Yeah, they nanoed Kevster here is to keep him off, and you see just even without the visor, what you can do with the nano and the Soldier 76 is fantastic hold here by the Gladiators New York.
Encore les gladiateurs. Allez, let's go.
The Gladiators jump up 2 up.
Sans surprise.
If you out there are hoping to see some new Queen Street in this first series of the day, you may be disappointed. The Gladiators there after what was such a close first map. This time, an absolute blowout on Midtown. Yaki was nano boosted there as well when they sent him after Kevster. Kevster received it as well and just absolutely disintegrated that Echo. NYXL, New York, not able to make too much happen with that aggressive style composition, and maybe it's the Echo having to cross these expanses which made it a little bit tough for them. There's no shortage of incredible talent on either of the support lines especially, and you can see how Shu can be a game changer when you have to pivot, when you have to play defensively. And funny Astro's sound barrier there in one of those key fights when Yaki found the duplicate was what allowed this Gladiators team to hold up under that pressure. They're going to take a break, and so will we. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, for the third map of the series right after these messages.
J'ai une question à te poser. Est-ce que ça te saoule quand je te demande des câlins?
Hein?
Est-ce que ça te saoule quand je te demande des câlins?
Mais non, mais c'est juste que je
Est-ce
suis à un autre
que
truc en même
t'es
temps.
genre de mec qui a besoin d'espace?
C'est une XT, tu vas bien? que je te montre vite fait ce que j'ai. Bon, après. Je sais pas, t'étais là hier? Je sais plus si t'étais là hier. Ouais, je pense que t'étais là à peu près tous les soirs. J'avais fait le jardin là, tu sais, hier. Bah là, j'ai fait l'intérieur. Donc là, les toilettes là. J'ai fait ça là. Ah, attends, j'ai vu un truc qui me plaît pas là. Ah non, c'est bon, c'était un reflet. Et le bureau passe annuel. Voilà. C'est un peu bas de plafond. C'est pour cacher la misère. Skirt. C'est quoi ça? Ah oui, carré. Ah, ils ont le budget aussi, les gladiateurs, apparemment. Moins de budget quand même que les Excelsior. Mais c'est stylé quand même. C'est-à-dire que l'année dernière, Kester, on l'avait jamais vu. Enfin, on le voyait jamais, il avait un masque.
Well, Matthew, if the Scrimbucks exchange was anything to go by, then perhaps people aren't too surprised by this result. The Gladiators were definitely, the whispers were running around the rumor mill that this team was performing extremely well in their scrims. And New York now, their return to the United States has been met with a furor and a lot of aggression from this Gladiators roster here. They're looking very, very good. New York stacked with talent, but haven't managed to find their rhythm just yet in this series.
Yeah, no, the Gladiators are looking how we kind of thought they would, right? Looking really strong here early on. New York, keeps it close in certain situations, but yeah, just kind of seems like maybe they kind of need to change around what they've decided to play on some of these maps. Kind of worked in scrims, maybe not working now. I thought you were actually going to talk about that Gladiators video that we just played. They hit every pro gamer pose you could. Yup, they had the ice in the veins. They had the jersey pop.
This one.
That one.
But you know what's missing?
Rub the hands and look side-eye the camera.
It's missing the T-pose, bro. Where was this?
They hit every pro gamer pose in one video.
I want to see the Ginyu Force ones as well. So only one guy on this side like that, and the other guy like this, and then one guy in the middle like that.
Par contre, j'ai vu que les toits carrés là, enfin toiture carrée, il n'y a pas énormément. J'espère qu'il y a plus ce que je veux. Ouais, ça a l'air d'être bon. C'est bon.
That's the side hustle, you know what I mean? He's just like, yeah, keep it coming, fam. You know what I mean? My guy working on them investments. So far, the Gladiators' investments in the off-season, they were paying off in a big way, right? Got to see Midtown. Arguably a home map for this Excelsior team where they looked to struggle. They definitely wanted to make use of the Echo as much as they could. Seemed like a bit of a meta call even, Matthew, but it was ultimately unsuccessful. A lot of the time Yaki's trying to dive on Kebster. We've got some substitutions here and these are crucial, right? Arns is back in the league, of course, now going to the other Californian team. Looking pretty scary. Now, Reiner is the Armor Titan and Space is the Founding Titan. This guy obviously on
Putain, je dois refaire un truc dégueulasse. Hein.
He's back in here at Tank.
Ah mais non, sinon j'avais ça. Mais pareil, c'est pas bien centré. En tout cas, on commence à avoir la base de la place, quoi. Enfin, je veux dire, là c'est bon, on a tous les bâtiments, la forme des bâtiments.
So space probably in. Maybe you want to play some of the Diva, right? So then play Diva
Ah,
on the previous map. Ons with
faut rentrer space pour mettre le clou pour terminer cet affrontement. Genre en mode, c'est bon, c'est plié, on n'en parle plus. Premier match, win.
With an exciting player over there. Yeah, before it was like the lime green Valiant, right? Before the forest green Valiant.
Yeah, we went through,
the bloody blue and yellow Valiant.
Yeah, you know, it's
So,
crazy.
yes.
Like thinking of the 5th season and thinking about some of the previous ones. You know, it's crazy how far it's come.
I mean, yeah, and this guy, I mean, he's had so many hair looks as well. You know what I mean? He's been rocking this one for a little while now. Definitely seems to suit him. But I want to point out something. Space on stream sort of mentioned, hey, look, you know, we've had like a month of practice here on the Overwatch 2 PvP beta, which has been great. Obviously, there's not a ranked mode in that game, so it's been a little bit hard for me, he says, to sort of pick up the main tank heroes that were in Overwatch 1, like your Reinhardt, your Winston, you know, obviously a lot of those heroes, the Orisa to a degree. So we probably will expect to see Space show us what he's good at, right? Incredible Zarya, Diva, a lot of those heroes that were dubbed flex tanks in Overwatch 1. Expect to see Space piloting one of those heroes. He said obviously he's much more confident, comfortable on those.
Maybe even like Sigma. We haven't seen Sigma at all.
Yep.
He's like one of the tanks. Like I feel like that hasn't been talked about really at all. Like as you know, Doomfist gets like moved to the tank role. You know, big changes. You kind of have Orisa obviously with all the adjustments to her. We haven't really kind of talked about Sigma. It's last season stats with Yaki and Kebser. These stats obviously are going to be way different this year because you're obviously losing a player in terms of like one of the highest HP targets to take out. But you can just see like how.
Attends, là c'est un bordel ce que je viens de faire.
Last year we haven't seen.
Pour gagner du temps, mais je sais pas si j'ai gagné du temps en fait.
We have seen Yaki on it thus far.
Oh là le bordel.
Absolutely. I mean, and to be fair, this next match
Oh là le bordel.
features a huge amount of verticality.
Oh là le bordel que je viens de foutre là. Oh non non non, vas-y, c'est bon. Ah puis la cam, j'en peux plus.
I think it's great to see Skewed back in this lineup, right? People,
Voilà.
you know, lamenting obviously the lack
Hop,
of
c'est bon.
absence of
Je vais faire à la main, c'est pas grave.
incredible main support player Lucio and of course Mercy were some of his sort of most well-known picks. Skewed spent so much time on this roster because he excelled when it came to playing Brig or to sort of backing Shu up on the Zenyatta when he played Baptiste. This Gladiators roster really preferred to go for those looks with a really nasty either high crowd control or high damage backline. So expect to see Skewed sort of continue that trend, right? Come out on here and look to play something that's, you know, pretty devastating. He's got such a broad skill set in general.
Chaud.
And we know what Arns does. I mean, I personally saw Arns in some scrim matches, you know, performing on hit scan heroes, and he looked like he just hadn't missed a beat. The narrative map on the sort of watch point earlier was that, you know, it was a pretty inauspicious year for him last year. Arns actually went away to Valorant, which meant
he like went away, came back. Yeah. I think last year like just kind of like jumped back into it. It's like a team kind of like not really flux throughout the year, but like high expectations, just kind of like you know, I think this year probably like obviously everybody, I don't want to say put on even footing, right? Because like there are a lot of heroes in the game and kind of mechanics that still remain the same, but kind of everybody kind of like a little bit learning in that kind of
Que de derrière ça donne ça. Les studios. Pas très beau. Bon c'est comme là.
And there's not a lot of shields, so you figure like if Ons was ever like going to pop off, like return kind of the Ons we've seen in the past, it would be in this type of setting.
Absolutely, and again with in Overwatch 2 with maybe people playing further apart and there being just less sort of prevalence of shields, we theorized even before we got to see the first games on the Overwatch 2 PC.
Celle-là je l'ai testé. Je vais avoir le temps de la tester. Allez. Ah non, je dis n'importe quoi, mais non c'est la map d'escort. Non j'ai pas pu la faire celle-là. Et je suis bien deg. Ici voilà, on va mettre une jolie fenêtre. J'avais même pensé mettre un truc genre une fenêtre toute faite déjà. Ah mais il y a des jolis panneaux là. Ah ouais mais c'est hors sujet. Ah du coup la double bubble ne peut... Elle n'existe plus en 5v5. C'est quoi ça? Oh là. C'est des excavations, blocs de temple. Ah ouais.
like D.Va and Sigma probably his best.
Et ça?
And what do you kind of get out of the supports and DPS? A Sojourn Widowmaker would be interesting here. It's like, you know, Sojourn doesn't have like a sniper all the time, but a little bit in that fashion.
No,
I think Kevster just teasing. He's actually gonna play Tracer.
This is still exciting. Kevster, obviously, his Tracer, really scary last year. We highlighted the echo between these two sort of DPS players, but Kevster's Tracer was also...
Ah, Hans sur sa Widow, bah là ça va chier vu le carré.
You can see he's looking for it here, Matt. And space is on the Sigma.
Yeah, you're going to have a Baptiste Zen backline, which...
The throwback, baby!
Yeah, a bit of a throwback, and we haven't seen a ton of either hero, because like Baptiste with his kit like really kind of functions around like groups being like clumped together, right? Immortality field, like the strongest part of his kit,
and that's happening less, right?
It's happening way less. I mean, even I know the amplification matrix, the window, like how do you have to kind of be grouped together to get value out of that? As you see, Yaki gets the bubble to try and...
Ah ouais, faut que je trouve une solution pour là.
Alright, sticky bombs there, putting a lot of pressure on space. Shu's able to find Yaki though. Nice job there with the Baptiste again. That hit scan pressure starting to take its toll. Answer's able to deal with Gangnam Jim there, and Kellen's actually forced to bubble himself. Does he have any more left? He's playing around that corner, so it's very unlikely. Space is able just to pressure him down, and the Gladiators again just pushing into the Excelsior and overrunning them.
Right, and this is a part of the map that we were talking about. Is so difficult.
Ah voilà, c'est
just
info.
the verticality here, and then
Pour cacher cette... Ah ouais, mais ça va pas être assez grand.
Like an Overwatch map, like really no other like it is, you know, Ant's just taking heads here. There's like that kind of like rotating, like you kind of go up and then you turn around and come back up to the high ground. If you're playing from the low ground here, right, with the Sigma's great because D.Va you would have to fly the Matrix, or the Matrix gets a little extension, so you're able to kind of grab some stuff, but like the shields can be just sent up to the high ground, right? You can just kind of put it in the face of the Widowmaker at any range, as you see Kevster here just bullying Flora.
It's harder to do this on Tracer, right? You don't want to get those sort of one clicks just to roll over backliners, especially Lucio, which has some functional self-peel with that boot back. But Kevster's being pretty conservative with his positioning. This Gravitic Flux could be nasty. Countdown the only one to actually be held aloft by that one, and it's punishing. Arns just dealing death in the background there as Kellen's felled by a headshot. And this is a different look. This is a three-player substitution for the Gladiators, and they look more scary.
Du coup, c'est pas ça que je voulais. Voilà, c'est plus ce genre de choses. Ouais, les couleurs sont vraiment dégueulasses. J'aime bien, c'est mignon. Ah oui. Ah, il est pas là pour plaisanter de toute façon.
Insanely difficult shots, those easy ones, you know, he's not going to miss those.
Frighteningly consistent when it comes to that Widowmaker.
Ah, il est fenêtres déjà toutes faites là. Oh, mais elles sont moches. C'est quoi ce bruit? Ah, c'est quand ils donnent l'info. Ah, ils en abusent. Pour ça, ils devraient le désactiver pour le mode spectateur par contre.
Ants, though, again, that Infrasight, he knows exactly where Flora's playing from, but both Widows have used his ultimate, so they will be keeping tabs on each other. Both teams will be keeping their heads down for that 12 seconds.
Bah là, il faudrait que je mette un panneau. Alors, attends, voir ce qu'il y a. Panneau d'hiver. Le problème, c'est que c'est toujours trop grand. Oh, ouais.
Still moving though. It's gonna get very close. You know, you're gonna have Ons and probably Kevster drop here. Maybe Kevster's able to make it out.
Non, pas ça.
You can see as we get closer to the end of this map.
Ah, celui-là. Pas mal, celui-là.
Out of this, like it's rare for an Overwatch match. Like you have like defenders coming out to high ground like right away.
Right.
It's kind of difficult for the offense.
Mais il est trop grand pour que je le mette là par contre.
Especially kind of when you're playing like a tracer and you're not really.
Alors attends, bureau, passe, annuel.
Unless the attackers can wrap around this right side here with one or two players and sort of make it harder for the defenders to post up here. That's what Kevster's sort of hoping to do with this this pulse bomb. Maybe you can ride the card in just a little bit, but losing Arns here to a Flora headshot. Oh, it's whack-a-mole time with Kevster. He's going to have to recall here. That is not where you want to be as Tracer.
Ah.
So he's going to have to back up
Et du coup, si je le mets là, c'est mort.
Kevster's doing a lot of the pestering on the back line as, you know, Space, he's going to be in trouble as some of those sticky bombs get dropped on the Skewed. Looks like they have to be careful. The payload's so close, as you see, remember from the Gladiators, yeah, Space going to back up now, but that payload is so close. Like, when those two players were on it, like, another second or two, they would have actually had it in before, but coming back into this next fight, really good opportunity for the Gladiators. So if you can get, like, that sound barrier out, potentially, you have the Gravitic Flux, you have your own, Ant Matrix, you're going to have your own Transcendence, so a few big key ultimates for the Gladiators, and you don't need that much to get it across the line.
Yeah, the strategy might actually be to embroil the Excelsior in an extended fight on this high ground and sneak the card in, or at least pressure that, give them the, force them to deal with the prospect of that happening. Gravitic Flux catches Kellen, that's the tank down for the New York Excelsior. This could be a problem. Yep, duplicate there though, comes out from Yaki, so there's still going to be a tank to stand in Kellen's stead for now. Grab will be online soon, duplicated, Gravitic Flux, Skew's able to get the Transcendence online, no one cares to get rid of 4, the pressure in the backline is mounting now, and the Gladiators are applying it liberally. Nano boost for Yaki, keep him alive and burn Skew down. Arn's now for the infra site, looking to find a key pick-off here, but New York is starting to stabilize here. Space falls to Kellen, Yaki's safe enough here in the front line, pressuring Shu down. And that will be another fight brought to a stop.
That's a huge comeback there from New York, as that did not look good, especially when you had like on set up in that long alleyway on the Widowmaker with the things we know he's able to do.
Si je le mets là, ça va faire bizarre. Oula.
Using the grab, really kind of like the duplicate to give Yaki, a little bit of a kind of like an extra go, a little bit more survivability on the Echo. The Gravitic Flux was huge, right? But it actually got the Transcendence out.
Preemptive self-bubble there from Kellen.
Bon alors, des fenêtres. Quel genre de fenêtres?
Arns has to get creative with some of these angles. And you can see that Flora is hoping.
Ton entrée de parc, tu l'as eu où? Ton entrée de parc? J'ai pas encore fait d'entrée de parc. Parce que là, l'entrée de parc, je veux la faire là. Je vais la faire moi-même. Tu veux parler de mon ancienne entrée de parc, là? Celle-là? Celle-là, je l'ai trouvée sur le Steam Workshop, sinon. Après, je l'avais remodifiée parce que ça me plaisait pas. Genre, elle était que d'un côté, je l'avais refait de deux côtés, j'avais enlevé des trucs. Après, l'idée du pont-levis pour l'entrée, ça, je pense que je vais reprendre ça, c'est pas mal.
Unclear how Skewed is able to get this hicked off there by Kellen, but that takes the wind out of the sails of the Glads.
Bon, ils l'ont toujours pas pris le point.
And this is kind of looking like reminiscent to like what we saw on Midtown, right? Where the Gladiators were able to kind of steamroll through the first.
Je pense que je vais mettre ceux-là, mais ils sont pas assez grands. Ou ceux-là.
We'll see if they're able to do it. Here is Flora working on a flank. The Gladiators do have some ultimates to work with.
Flora in the backline looking for Skewed. Havoli's going to force that recall here. Kevster has a pulse bomb, though. Can he find Myeonbong? That is step A. Stuck. It's good. Going to get rid of Myeonbong, but already Shu and his immortality field has fallen. In fact, there's no healers left for the Gladiators. Space had to go for a desperate Gravitic Flux, but there's no one there to keep him topped up, and Kellen's going to burn him down. The NYXL able to stake their claim to this very fancy-looking cart here. The Gladiators are going to be staved.
C'est clean. Putain, même pas. Oh.
New York Excelsior showing you how to use that high ground to your advantage on that last point of Circuit Royal is really difficult to get that card over the line, especially when they can come out of the spawn, return to that high ground. You have some hit scan heroes up there.
Je pourrais faire mon truc. J'arrive à trouver pile la moitié.
Being able to like dive to the lower ground, getting right back up to the high ground, kind of like assassinate those players fast. I don't know how New York decides to play this though, as we kind of like move to their offensive side. Can you run that Zarya here at the beginning? Like you're gonna have no shielding, like the Gladiators can like play with like whether it's the Soldier or the Widowmaker and like the street. What happens when we go towards that high ground part of the map? So it looks like the Gladiators on defense, they'll run that Sigma. They won't be running a Soldier 76, they'll have Kevster on the Tracer here. So Tracer Widow, that's kind of like a comp that we've seen in the past, in terms of Overwatch esports. And then for New York, obviously still some time to make changes, but
et là, du coup, maintenant, je peux centrer. C'est plus parlant.
Yaki, very good Genji, very good Tracer, and Echo player. So be excited to see if he pulls that one out. I think it would be difficult to make the echo work here.
Voilà.
Absolutely. A lot of long sight lines to cross here. This is what we were talking about before with Kellen.
J'ai reçu une design de cette arme.
This is that last
Ça pareil, je peux le centrer aussi.
completely charged up there. Great way to finish things off, especially after Kevster. You can see he's able to, you know, kick Yaki out of duplicator at the moment as well. So it could have been nasty. Yaki actually will be playing the Echo again. And yeah, you're tempting fate here as Answer's going to be probing for that airborne target.
Looks like 4. Looking for a shot here. This has to be so, like, you know, this is a sick Widowmaker matchup already, but hey man, I like when you see Ans come in, you know he's going to be playing the Widow, and it just has to scare you a little bit, just with the ability to be able to take over the game. Is Yaki has to get really high.
Pourquoi c'est pas droit? C'est quoi cette connerie là? Bon, de toute façon, c'est de la connerie de mettre ça. Ça va faire trop chargé. Je vais mettre juste des petits bacs de fleurs et puis ça va le faire.
He's able to sneak up. A lot of pressure being generated by Fora, especially in Space's direction. And there he is, he's gone.
Though, like, think about like kind of how you have to make this work, right? Like, you have to dedicate at least one of the Zarya bubbles to Yaki. He has to be able to close the gap. And then you're providing like that. There's no like in this case like an immortality field there to be able to kind of keep Ans alive. It's just really difficult to get that pick.
Like a all-star medal
hard, yeah.
Space's portrait, I quite enjoy that. What I see now is, again, the Orc don't generate too much in that last fight. They do get close to the bend, but this hairpin is pretty brutal for attackers to make their way through as well. And there's environmental kill potential. Something like that. But this high damage backline from the Gladiators, you're bringing skewed in, sub in for Bunny Astros, the exact kind of thing that's going to pressure Kellen down, force those bubbles to be
J'arrête juste un truc. Ah ouais, j'avais mis ça. Ça rendait bien ça aussi. Cette fenêtre là. Ouais, après c'est très bien aussi comme ça. Hein. J'ajoute du lierre et ça passe. Hein. Le lierre ça passe partout.
Well, especially because you're almost dedicating at least one of the bubbles to Yaki, right? Like, he needs a bubble to go in and make a play. So, that's already one of the bubbles on.
The Reaper guy, man! He's got to come in from the side and get lots of value. I love this guy.
He's got some time to build up towards his special move, but...
Je vais plutôt mettre celle-là parce qu'en fait j'ai déjà mis du lierre. Allez. Ah, ça je vais l'enlever. Allez. Oh là là, ça fait n'importe quoi.
This is the same thing we saw in the previous map match, right? Yeah, a good defense from New York, and then when they have to attack, they just get stuffed.
Yeah, I mean, well, you see the sightline that Ons has. I mean, that could go right towards the spawn here.
Ça fait bizarre, hein. Là il y a des murs qui ont fusionné, du coup ça fait bizarre.
Frustrating for the Zarya player, true. Especially with the Graviton Surge in the back pocket. Kellen must make this very effective. If New York want to have any hopes of advancing past this nasty little choke point, and bear in mind there's a Gravitic Flux, Transcendence available. It's about to get heavy. Once more, Gravitic Flux now on Kellen's going to be a sound barrier use.
Ah ouais, d'accord, j'ai
compris. For the time being, but that Graviton Surge doesn't quite connect in the way they would have liked it to. Still, Flora's able to find the assassination kill on Arns.
Putain, ça vole encore, mais c'est relou ça. C'est vraiment pénible.
Maybe, I was going to say, maybe you have an opportunity to fight this again, because there's still a decent amount of space for the payload to travel to unlock this next part of the map, where is it worth it for the Gladiators?
Putain, ils en sont qu'à là, alors qu'ils sont déjà en overtime. C'est plié, allez.
Flora getting pressured, Discord orb applied there, and Answer's going to get taken down by Yaki. So nice little 1-2 punch there from the Excelsior DPS players. And Yaki, he's popping off just a little bit there. Nice 3 kills from Yaki, sticky bombs there to secure the deal. And that's a time extension of 2.5 minutes here from New York.
Là, ils vont galérer.
He gets the nano boost there, and you see what you can actually do with that nano in this type of situation. So some comp changes from the Gladiators coming through. Take a look at this from Yaki's POV. It was actually Flora who was putting pressure onto Ons there, so allowed him to really kind of finish that player off, get Shu, and then double back to the tank.
Bon, mettre quelques petites cheminées à la limite.
Really good. It's just constantly pressuring with damage from this high ground. And then you see kind of
Non,
everybody
c'est pas là.
way different than Overwatch 1, right? In the sense that you know, not having everybody just kind of like sit on the payload with like a 2 or you know.
Si je mets ça.
You have people like kind of like using
Ouais.
some of this like map cover obviously instead.
Hop. Parce que ça, c'est de la merde. Mettre ça, et là, je vais changer la couleur pour mettre ça. Voilà. Ah, duel de... Ah bah, c'était sûr. C'est trop beau à voir, n'empêche, ces duels de tresser. Bon, bah sinon, à part ça... Ah, attendez, je vais juste... Hop, baisser le son de ça. Mais sinon, à part ça, bah c'est bon. J'ai terminé. Donc là... Ah, j'ai toujours la gueule dans un bâtiment. Donc là, j'ai officiellement terminé la place. Hein. J'ai fait tous les bâtiments, tous les intérieurs des bâtiments. Donc j'ai terminé. Putain, c'est trop beau, je suis trop content. C'est trop beau, c'est plein de détails. Et tout est fait à l'intérieur, c'est ça qui me... C'est ça qui rend vraiment trop bien. C'est que tous les intérieurs sont faits, quoi. Tu prends un bâtiment au pif, tu peux aller dedans, quoi. Ah, il y a des gens qui sont assis. Bon bah tout est fermé hein, par contre. Bon, ça je réglerai ce problème là plus tard. Mais ouais, c'est trop cool. T'as vraiment des détails absolument partout. C'est trop chouette. Et du coup, ouais, vu de loin avec tous les studios, ça donne ça. Ah, c'est trop cool. Bah du coup la prochaine fois ce que je ferai, parce que du coup je vais arrêter le live, là ça fait déjà bientôt 2 heures. Du coup, la prochaine fois, est-ce que bah je pense que je commencerai l'entrée hein. Parce qu'il y a toujours ça effectivement, mais alors ça j'ai beau réfléchir tous les jours à ce que je veux faire ici, je sais pas vraiment. Parce que me lancer sur un nouveau land, ça va être trop long. Ça va être vraiment trop long. Bref. Bah je pense que je vais m'arrêter là. Du coup la prochaine fois, peut-être demain, sûrement demain, je ferai cette entrée là. Et puis bah on verra pour la suite. On cachera déjà toute la misère là des grands murs. Non, quand t'arriveras, ce sera magnifique. Voilà. Ce qui est déjà un peu le cas. Je préfère moi ce côté-là, moi, de ce côté-là, avec les jardins et tout. C'est trop beau. Bref, et bah du coup, bah on se dit à la prochaine. C'était Quentibus. Salut.